everyone, it's your girl Chaennie Lisoo and welcome back to my channel where I talk about things that matter. I've been gone for a while, school was stressful, but we're surviving, we're thriving, and I'm doing good. Anyways, let's get to the topic of today's video. Today's video, I want to talk about K-pop survival shows. I've seen a couple of survival shows. I've definitely not seen every single one, but I've seen my fair share of them. And I feel like people's reactions to survival shows are usually quite negative. And I don't completely understand why. So today I want to figure out, are survival shows as bad as everyone claims them or makes them out to be? Because I don't think they are. But just like, let's look at the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's go. So let's start with the positives, because I feel that this is not talked about enough, because people just like to talk about the negatives because their faves weren't picked. But we have to talk about this because survival shows give so much exposure to so many trainees out there who otherwise might not get the time of day. It doesn't really matter if you come from a big company or from a small company, or if you're an individual trainee, you still could compete in like one of the produce series on Mnet. I'm not saying that Mnet is perfect, absolutely not, don't get me wrong, but I do think it is quite, I'm sorry, I just like breathed out because I was so out of breath. I don't even know why. Okay, that has nothing to do with this, but I think it's just really amazing that they give this platform to trainees who maybe wouldn't have the opportunity otherwise. I think that in of itself is an amazing thing. Yeah. And another thing that ties into this, that is kind of positive in my opinion, is that sometimes idols that go on these shows to kind of get a chance at making their debut again because their company is too lazy to promote them, lettuce, it kind of gives these companies a boost sometime to be like, oh right, we have these like idols, maybe we should like do something with them now that they've got this hype from produce or whatever survival show that they went on. Like Pledis is now kind of starting to promote New West again, finally. You know, I think that's a good thing, because it sometimes makes these companies realize like, oh right, now these idols have this hype and fan base behind them. It would be smart to promote them. So I think that's a good thing, at least. Let's talk about temporary groups, since this is a thing that a lot of people have issues with, and this is why they don't watch survival shows, because they don't want to get attached to a group that's only temporary, because what's the point? First of all, I completely understand that it's absolutely heart-wrenching to invest all of your time and love into a group for them only to end up disbanding. But there definitely is a point to these groups being temporary, and if you didn't catch the point, Linda, let me break it down for you. As I said before, these shows expose a lot of trainees to an entire new audience, and it's a great opportunity for them to represent their company, to promote their company, and to gain popularity, and to of course get a chance to make their debut. But you have to understand that a lot of these trainees are tied to their contract with their original company. They can't just break their contract and run off into the sunset with their new group. Even though that's what a lot of people want, that is just not gonna happen. And there is a point to these groups being temporary. Now let me tell you what the point is. So if your fave ends up making the final cut, they get to make their debut in a temporary group. And they get to promote in that temporary group and get the chance to create a fan base while in this group, and to get them excited for the projects that they will most likely take part in after the group disbands. You could see it as a stepping stone to their career after the temporary group, and that ultimately is the point of these groups being temporary. So you can still support your fave after the group disbands, because they most likely will continue their career in acting or as being an idol. So your life doesn't end. But it still is quite sad. One of the really unfair things on survival shows is screen time. Watch an episode of Produce of Idol School 16. It doesn't really matter. But if you watch an episode, you will notice that certain contestants get way more screen time than others. Like, for example, I was watching Produce 48, and I knew Alex Christine was on it, and I was pretty excited for that. But I literally saw her for 2 seconds in like maybe both episodes or the 3 episodes she was in, which is absolutely insane. And it kind of creates this favoritism for certain contestants, which gives them a heads up in the competition, which that is not really fair. So they should really fix that. So the last big issue that I have with survival shows, and that a lot of people have, is that it's a big popularity contest. Now, a lot of times there will be at least one contestant who is really popular, even though you might think, well, they're not even really that talented, but they're just popular because of their visuals. But what you do have to realize is that Koreans really value visuals in a group. You know, every group has a visual. And it's not because they might not be the best at dancing or singing that they can't develop those talents at any point in the future, because I feel like people oftentimes really hate or despise these popular contestants because they sail through the competition just because they're beautiful. But you have to realize that they can still develop their talents, and they just don't deserve the hate they get. I just wanted to put that out there. The second thing that I really don't like is rankings in these survival shows, because I really don't think it's necessary. Like for JYP, for example, in his show 16, he just did major and minor without really ranking the girls, whereas Produce, the Produce series do really like rank the members from 12th or 11th to the first place, and I don't really think that's necessary because it just puts the focus on who's the most popular and who's the least popular, and I think that can really destroy the confidence of the contestants, and I just don't really think it's necessary. I think it would be fine if they just like revealed the possible lineup without really putting numbers on the contestants. I don't really think it's necessary. Please tell me your thoughts on that. Am I the only one who's thinking this? I want to know. In conclusion, I think the concept of survival shows, to a certain extent, is a great idea to give a lot of trainees who might not have a lot of exposure a platform to gain popularity, to create a fan base. I think that is a great thing, but I think there is a lot of things that could be done better, like giving all contestants screen time, because that does a lot, and to just not put the focus on popularity as much. So I think the concept, the idea is good, but the execution of the survival shows could definitely improve, but I don't think they're as horrible as everyone makes them out to be just because their favorite contestant didn't get picked to make their debut.